Here is marker sketch I make of Armin pretty much shitting his pants while female Titan wants to pull back hood and maybe give him a little kiss. You know, I do not know, maybe make out with him. If you like it, follow me on all the social networks.
Attack on Titan, Episode 20. Erwin Smith.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and action-packed Thrill-A-Minute tale of Attack on Titan. The last episode saw the Commander Erwin's plan, which was pretty much hush-hush, except for to a very select few. Even Levi's squad didn't know what was going on, although Levi did. And his squad was meant to lure the female Titan deeper into the forest, where Erwin could spring a trap on it, and they could fire hundreds of these harpoon-like guns into its body and pretty much immobilize it. So that's where the chapter left off. That's where episode. I'm sorry, I'm used to reviewing the manga stuff, but that's where the episode left off, and that's where this one begins. And this one really for me was kind of cool. It was called Erwin Smith, but I think it should have been called something like The Enemy Within, because we find out a bunch of really kind of cool inside information about what has been going on over the last 5 years since Wall Maria fell. So it starts out, and of course the female Titan has been captured. Erwin, just for good measure, has them go and fire even some more spare rounds into her, and we find out that these harpoon-like things are designed to basically pierce the skin of the Titan, and then as the Titan starts to kind of heal up, they actually kind of like dig in further and immobilize it even further. So they're designed with the regeneration part in mind, and really to regenerate probably around that, but then still to hit these points to make it to where it's very difficult to move. So we see some talk amongst, and really the first part of the episode is it's a lot of just kind of talking and hey, why'd this plan come to be? We see Levi's squad, of course, minus Levi, has moved on further into the forest awaiting orders, and we kind of see a little bit of, I guess you'd call it like a dissension amongst the ranks. You have Eren basically going, hey, why did he not tell us? Why didn't he even tell you guys what was going on with this plan? Yeah, great plan and everything, but all the people that died to make it happen and nobody even knew what was going on, why would he do something like that? Does he not trust you? So he's kind of starting Eren's kind of starting to plant that seed of mistrust. And ultimately what winds up happening is Petra and Günther and Eren, I think his name is, and Oeu or Oau. They all kind of start talking amongst themselves, and one of them's like, hey, he's right, but really what winds up happening is they say, listen, if there was a reason that he did that, and Erwin, Commander Erwin, probably only trusted certain people that have been with him for the last 5 years, since, and of course we know Wall Maria fell back then. They kind of come to the conclusion that there has been a traitor amongst them, a traitor in their midst, a double agent, a spy, if you will, and that Erwin suspected it or had some knowledge of it. So his plan was only fully revealed to some of his most trusted soldiers that had been with him for a period of time. So it was really like a nothing personal, guys. We're just trying to go and weed out the rat, and that's why all the different units were told that Eren's group and the Spec Ops team were in different positions within that formation. It was really all just kind of a smoke and mirrors decoy, so whoever this traitor was could not infiltrate the ranks. So we do get, and then it kind of takes us out to some of at the edge of the forest, to some of the, the younger recruits, the Mikasa, Connie, Jean, Armin, and they're all talking amongst themselves. And while this is all happening, this whole conversation, it's kind of really cool and edgy how they do it, because they're talking amongst themselves here, and then it kind of goes to Erwin and Levi talking, and it's all like a seamless like flow and transition of conversation. It almost looks as if they're all in the same room talking to each other, but they're not. They're all just speaking about the same subject. So, same type of thing with Armin and Jean. They kind of figure what's going on. Jean says, Erwin knew about this female Titan and wanted to capture it, and he set this plan up to begin with. Because, a lot of people are kind of scared. They're like, well, how come we're hearing all this? Is that a cannon fire? What are those explosions? These harpoon weapons are something that was newer, that was developed by the Survey Corps for specifically catching this Titan. So all they can hear is these ricochet sounds coming off the tree, sounding like all hell's, broken loose in there. We also find out, too, that the Titans can learn somewhat. Some of them are faster than other ones. Some of them are dumb as a box of rocks. But as they've been sitting here at the edge of the forest, and pretty much they haven't had to engage the Titans, they've kept them from going in the forest just by being up in the trees because the Titans are drawn to them. Some of the Titans have learned, or are starting to learn, how to actually climb the trees. Now, they're still lumbering and stupid and slow, and they fall, but they're learning. They're trying to pick up on, hey, that's where the human is I want to eat. I have to figure out how to get there. I now have to climb to do it. So we definitely can see that they are creatures that, although may not be the most forward-thinking and smartest, that they can learn. So even on some rudimentary level. So that's definitely something that caught my eye and I thought was worth noting. We then kind of go and we get the the back in the forest to the female Titan deal, and they go and Mike Zacharias, the sniffer guy, and Levi come just dropping down from the trees. And remember, the female Titan, had her hands back over her neck, protecting it. And they both come down and go to slash, like a surprise attack on her hands, because they want to pull the person out that's inside. They understand that this is an evolved Titan, a human that's turned into a Titan. Well, she does this cool thing where her hands kind of turn blue and harden up, and basically it just breaks their swords off, So, he asks, Levi says, should we just keep hacking away at it? And Erwin says, no, you know what, put some explosive charges on. They're like, well, we got enough explosives, though, we might blow up the person inside. And Erwin goes, just strategically place explosives on the wrist just to pretty much amputate, to pop the hands off, and then we can go and cut the person out. So they're like, okay, Captain. Levi goes, and then he's kind of standing on top of the Titan. And there's some more talk going back and forth amongst those three various groups that I was talking about, with Eren, of course, being further into the forest, Levi and Hanji, and all them that are there by the female Titan, and then, of course, all the recruits that are pretty much the protective detail that's on the outside of the forest, the outskirts, keeping the Titans from going in. So that kind of goes back and forth for a couple more minutes, but it's the same general gist of it, is like they're just discovering and figuring out what this plan was, and that there's a traitor amongst them. And that the traitor's been amongst them for a while, to our knowledge. That's how they make it out. So we see, though, Levi going and standing on top of the Titan, and he's kind of funny because he's just sort of stomping on its head a little bit, and he's basically just talking shit to it. He's like, you killed a bunch of my men back there, and was that fun for you? Because I'm having fun now. I'm tormenting you, and basically, it's kind of like I'm going to give you a little bit of psychological warfare now, and mess with your mind. And he says, well, hopefully you don't mind us cutting your arms and feet off, your hands and feet off. And I mean not the Titans. So he's trying to speak with the person, communicate with the person that's inside the Titan, because we want to cut you out and take your life. But you'll be fine. They'll regenerate anyway, right? And, too bad you don't realize this is the end for you now type of deal. Well, the female Titan goes and just all of a sudden out of nowhere just goes and lets out this, like, Godzilla, King Kong-like roar, just this, and I mean just earth-shattering, leaves are falling off the trees, kind of shakes the forest. And, of course, echoes out throughout there and everything. What this winds up doing is all of a sudden all the Titans that are, they're still getting the explosives ready in there, and then I think it was Mike Zacharias goes and calls out and he says, there's Titans coming, He's basically they've got spotters, right? And Erwin says, from where? And he says, from all directions. They're coming from everywhere. So whatever this was, this dying call or this mating call or whatever this was basically like like a pack leader, calling his pack to it. So the Titans that were at the edge of the forest now are starting to just kind of run past and run in there and everything. And we get Jean and Armin and everybody pretty much saying, hey, we got to get them. Our job is to make sure they don't get in there. So they're trying to take them off, but you got to remember there's dozens of these things just flooding by them. And then you even get Sasha, who goes, listen, I used to live in the mountains and stuff like that, and that call, that type of call or whatever, was basically a dying, cornered animal, and that's when they're most dangerous. So I thought that was kind of cool, too, because Sasha tells that to Mikasa, and Mikasa says, she usually has good intuition about these things. And Sasha, remember Potato Girl, I farted, that girl, or Sasha farted. But, so I thought that was kind of cool as well. We then go and see some really cool stuff as far as the scene, that goes and the action of this episode. And that is all these Titans start coming in, and before you know it, the explosives still aren't set to fire, and they're just about done. And Levi's still standing on this female Titan's head. And all of a sudden, there's a few Titans They appear, and this team goes and, and Erwin commands this team to go take them out or whatever. The team goes to go fly right by them, hoping that it'll draw their attention like they always do. And these things just completely beeline for the female Titan. They're like, what? Is this an aberrant? Are these aberrants? Three of them got through, right? So this was awesome because Levi's standing there and the Titans are getting up on him. There's two bigger ones and one smaller one. And Levi just goes and he just, Mr. Badass himself, man, just jumps down and does like a spin flip and just takes out all three of these things, right? In like one spectacular, glorious anime-like move, okay? I mean, this guy is just so cool the way he does it. He's just so smooth and fluid. And even though he's kind of cocky, he can afford to do so because he's just that good, at least in my opinion, and what we've seen so far. So then we go and we get, they kind of call out, they're approaching, they're getting closer. All of a sudden, you just see, I mean, Titans from everywhere, literally dozens of them. I don't know, dozens, I don't think it's hundreds, but I think it's dozens. It's probably 30, 40, 50 of them. I don't know, just start kind of coming in and from all sides crowding around. Erwin goes and gives the command, and he's just like, no, take that out, protect the female Titan, even if it's with your lives. And everybody starts going, just batshit insane, balls to the wall, crazy. Hanji and Mike and everybody who is there, right, just starts, and you just see slashes of blood and heads falling off and backs and necks being cut and bodies flying everywhere. Erwin's standing there still up in his perch on the tree, and he goes, and after a couple of minutes of this, he sees that they're not getting anywhere, and he orders everybody to withdraw, to retreat. They all pull back. They see the smoke rising from, and what happened is these Titans, they came in and they started eating the female Titan, the body of the female Titan. And it was really kind of cool the way it was done because she knew she was cornered and trapped and could not get away. So call them to her, and if it is anything like Eren, of course the human can pull itself away from and maybe get away and then become a Titan again. I don't know. I mean, maybe that was the whole thought process behind it. But it was very cool the way it was done, and Erwin was explaining there's no point basically in just throwing more lives at bodies at this. They've already done the damage. They've defied. I didn't count on them devouring the evidence, right? So we go and we see Levi then go and say, okay, well, I'll go hook up with my squad, and because they're going to signal the retreat now, right? And Erwin says, no, I want you to refuel and get new blades first. And he's like, no, I'm fine, don't worry about it. He's like, that's an order. He goes, okay, Commander Erwin. So Levi doesn't hook up with his group right away. And when they fire the flares to signal the retreat and the regroup, of course, Levi's squad, with Petra and Günther and Eren and Wow, I think his name is the guy that's always biting his tongue. That's a real smartass. They wind up going in, and of course Eren, and they start getting on their maneuver gear and kind of, shooting through the woods there to get back to regroup with everybody, right? Because now the idea is just basically Commander Erwin has said, listen, let's just retreat. We didn't get what we wanted here, and now our job is to get back without losing any more lives. Okay, so because that was his goal for this mission, and it didn't turn out the way he wanted. So as they go and they show the group kind of flying through the woods, it's rather comical because they're talking about how when on their first mission, it's always a good mission if you can make it there and back, but don't count don't count yourself lucky until you're at home sleeping on your pillow, right? I mean, the mission goes, it's not just out, you got to get back in too, right? And then someone says something about how Petra and Wow pissed their pants on their first mission. I think it was Eren who said that. He said, "Yeah, don't worry, they pissed their pants, or pissed themselves in their first mission." And Petra gets all mad. She's like, "Don't tell him that." And Wow's all getting all angry too. Of course, it's an embarrassing thing. And then Eren goes, in the funniest part of the episode. There's not a lot of comedy in this, but this was good, whether it was meant to be funny or not. The Sasha farted thing was funny. The potato thing was funny. This was funny too. He looks at Petra and he's like, "So what? Did you just were you flying when it happened? Did you spray it all over?" Because obviously she can't make a concentrated piss. And it was just a comical, I thought a very comical exchange between them. So we go and we see a signal flare go and pop up to regroup, and they think it's Captain Levi, and we just see this hooded figure. And as they're going towards where that is, it goes back, and Erwin's talking with I don't know, Hanji or Mike Zacharias, one of them, and they say, why did you tell Levi to go, Captain Levi to refuel and this and that before he got going? And he said, listen, this was somebody who infiltrated our ranks to begin with. Okay, so this is someone who who has our maneuver gear. He thinks that's the person who went and, of course, killed the Titans, you know, Sawney and Bean. And this is a person who's got, you know, has our cloak, our everything, right? I mean, is a traitor, but is hiding in plain sight. And after the Titan was killed, it easily, in all the confusion and everything that was going on, with all the smoke and mist rising and all that, just the crap going on, if it had our maneuver gear and this traitor had our, you know, cloak and everything else, right, could have just gotten away. So he thinks that the traitor is still out there and very close to them. So basically he's still using that group, I think, to go in to draw off this, or to draw in this traitor. I think that's his whole thought behind it. And then we go and we see, as they think that they're regrouping, you know, Squad Levi, they think they're regrouping with Levi, we see Günther kind of look over his shoulder and see the hooded, cloaked figure, and he's like, oh, Captain Levi? And all of a sudden just comes flying over and, you know, nails him and kind of cuts at his line. He winds up hitting into a tree and just kind of falling back and is hanging there by his line. Everybody turns around, sees what's going on. Eren stops. Because you remember, they're like flying through the air like Spider-Man, basically. You know, swinging from tree to tree, pretty much, propelling themselves through the air. But Eren goes and gets to him first, and I can't tell if Gunther's if he was just injured or if he's dead. It looked like he was still moving, but I don't know if maybe he was slashed in the throat or something like that as this mysterious figure went by. The only thing we can assume is obviously this is the traitor, and like I said, this should have been called the enemy within. So all in all, it was a very good episode, and it really does a good job of leaving you on these cliffhangers. You know, I know that it's a week between episodes, which isn't really a terribly long wait. I used to collect comic books, and of course it was a month between episodes, and then a lot of series 2, you know, they'll have breaks in between. If there's 25 episodes, they might do 10 or 12, and then they might take a break for a few months. I'm used to that sort of thing, so the waiting doesn't bother me, but ultimately they do a great job of leaving you on cliffhanger. So let me know what you think, brothers and sisters, in the comments down below. And I guess my episode question here is going to be, as far as the Titans, what do you think about them? Now we've discovered that they can learn, right? What do you think about that? I mean, are these other ones, these colossal Titan, the armored Titan? What is your theory on that? Are they just higher evolved, you know, humans into Titans? Because my theory is that all Titans are humans anyway, but some are just, you know, further developed than others. Maybe these ones are like kind of the elite ones. But what do you know, weigh in on what do you think about how they've learned now to climb trees and adapt to get to their food, you know? So, I mean, what's next, you know? So, but like I said, remember to leave your answers in the comment box down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching you in the next one, Titan Nation.
Yo, this big bitch right here says to subscribe. She says, if you dig the vibe, motherfucker, subscribe, motherfucker.
Whoa, whoa. Just calm down with the language there, my friend. There may be kids watching.